Wrestling is such a strange entity because while it does have a bunch of tropes and stereotypes that it does over and over and over again and that they really do need to die, there's like this tiny square in your tum-tum that goes, yeah, but it's so silly, I kind of like it. But today I felt like we needed to stand up and talk about these things, so yes, my name is Simon Miller, welcome to What Culture Wrestling, and this is 10 things in wrestling that really need to croak it. Number 10, contract signings. Now we just had another one of these on the most recent episode of SmackDown as I'm saying these words between Carmella and Sasha Banks, and that was one of the most preposterous contract signings we have seen in ages, because during the contract signing, GM Adam Pearce also then made another match, but that one didn't need a contract signing, and I will tell you, every single non-wrestling fan always says the same thing to me, but Simon, why don't we see contract signings for every single fight? And I have to go, just shut up, that's not how it works. Now, there are good ways to do it, like Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre had a good one a few weeks ago, as did Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, but really this is a frequency thing, it's a quantity thing. You can kind of do it by your watch, and you can kind of go, I bet in around about 2 months we'll get another contract signing, and you always do. Also, why is it only for specific matches? It just needs to go away for a while, which is true for a lot of things on this list. It needs to rest so that when it does come back from the dead, you get all excited about it again. Because absence makes the heart grow stronger. Number 9, weddings. Now this one may be a little bit personal to me, but if I never saw a wrestling wedding again as long as I lived, it would be too soon. I mean, just look at some of the craziness we've had recently in Impact. I don't know what the hell happened with that, but a wedding then ended in a shooting, and then it turned into a murder mystery, and then the person that did the killing just went, yeah, it was me, and he didn't even get the rub of the green. And yes, of course, you can go back in your DeLorean time machine and throw things at me that prove the contrary to this. For example, everything with Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth that will make you cry tears of joy. And I suppose there is something to take from the Stephanie McMahon Tess wedding, even though do not forget that was Triple H basically going at the time within the story, hey, I drugged your future wife and I married her without her consent. That's not problematic at all. I just don't get much out of them anymore, which was doubly true when we did everything with Bobby Lashley and Lana. I mean, never forget how that ended. If you enjoy watching WWE as if it's real, Rusev just vanished into dust. Number 8, kicking out of finishes. Now this one stands to reason, I think we can all agree on it, but how can you call your finishing move a finishing move when every single person on the damn roster kicks out of your finishing move? You didn't do a very good job now, did you, in finishing him? And I understand that it became a massive thing, really dating back to kind of WrestleMania 17. Because seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin kick out a Rock Bottom and seeing The Rock kick out the Stone Cold Stunner made your adrenaline go through the roof. And I think a few people saw this and went, well, we can do it all the time, and for a good few years you absolutely could. But be honest with yourself, how many times these days do you see an RKO or a Claymore kick and just fold your arms and go, well, I bet he does kick out of it, because he always kicks out of it. I mean, try and come up with a move that nobody has ever kicked out of. I can only think of 2, one of which is Kenny Omega's One-Winged Angel, and bless that man, he's now using that in his character, and the other is the End of Days by Baron Corbin. I've been saying this a lot recently, would somebody please tie that into a narrative? It is a cool looking finish, and yeah, nobody ever kicks out of it. So if you build, when somebody does, you just made a brand new star. It's just got a little bit boring. That's all it is, it's just got a little bit boring. And as good old JR said recently, wouldn't it be nice if maneuvers such as DDTs and super kicks started to serve that purpose again? I say, yes. Number 7, the shock guy at the end of the Battle Royal. Now this one sprung to my mind because recently in the AEW Diamond Ring Dynamite Battle Royal, when it came down to MJF and Wardlow, there was a split second where they thought they'd won, and then they remembered that Orange Cassidy was on the outside because he'd been thrown through the middle ropes. And I really appreciated just that tiny little twist because they came across like smart people. Because most of the time what we do is somebody thinks they have won, they run around the ring going, man, I'm a winner, I'm so pleased. And then the person that we remembered had only gone through the bottom rope or the middle rope or something and was hanging around the side, gets back in the ring, chucks them over, and even though the announcers go nuts, the fans, the audience, we're tuned into this. We're like, yeah, I saw it coming a mile away. And it was brilliant when we did it back in 1994 with Shawn Michaels. I mean, that was probably one of the best ones ever. But yes, you need to stop doing this now. It's perfectly fine to come down to 2 guys in the ring, much like we did in the Royal Rumble with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and look what that spawned off, and just have one grab the other and chuck them out. I mean, that is the point of the match. I just never want to be expecting these things or looking for it with my one eye like Rey Mysterio. When you do that, it's just become commonplace. As you can probably tell from this video, I am desperate to get away from the stereotypes. Number 6. Surprise roll-ups. Now, of course, you thought I was going to put this at number 1, but I'm surprising you, because again, otherwise I'm going to be a hypocrite. And yes, the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment has to die. And there's not much I can say about it other than if you watch my other show, Ups and Downs, here on What Culture Wrestling, we have a board that we started in March 2020, and we are up to 99. By the time you see this, I am pretty sure we will have hit 100. And simply put, 100 matches ending in surprise roll-ups is too much. And now that's a contradiction in terms. It's not a surprise anymore. We'll have to redub it the expected roll-up. It's just dull. Let somebody pin somebody else. It's meant to be a real fight. Number 5, being distracted by somebody else's music. Now I do kind of love this one, kind of ties into the intro, because I want to know the inner workings and how somebody pulls it off. Like if Bayley has said, look, Sasha Banks is fighting later, and I want you to play my music halfway through, she has to go to the audio guy and go, not yet, do it now. And he or she has to say, I'm already happy to help you, Bayley, even though you're a dastardly heel and you're trying to screw somebody over. Also, why does a wrestler care? Like if you're in the middle of anything and you heard music, do you stop and go, oh, what was that? No, you continue to focus on the task at hand, but your other senses just so happen to pick up on it. So maybe I don't want this one to go away because it tickles me so much in my tum-tum, but you do look like a moron every single time. Just focus and keep your eyes on your flipping wrestling opponent. Number 4, wrestlers watching TV from the side. In your living room at home, this is how you watch TV. This is the screen, this is you. Nobody watches it like this. And yet everybody, specifically in WWE, has decided this is how they want to watch a television screen. It cannot be good for your neck. And this has got even stranger recently too, because depending on where you are on the card now determines how you watch the screen. Roman Reigns, he's a top guy, he will do it normally, but somebody else like Chad Gable, the poor dude, he has to hang upside down and twist 420 degrees. He's going to die. Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks took the mick out of this recently on AEW, and I absolutely got a kick out of that because it is just so stupid. I mean, I understand it's for camera production purposes, but nobody watches TV like that. Number 3, wrestlers not watching their own show. Chris Jericho took this one and crushed it into dust recently because MJF was trying to pretend that it was Sammy Guevara throwing in the white towel or potentially doing so in the middle of a Chris Jericho match, and the champion went, Maxwell, what are you talking about? I watched Dynamite, of course I do. I saw what you were trying to do and I didn't appreciate it. This also happened on Impact when Fowler Bar was talking to Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz and said, I know you've got the money, you did it on TV, and all wrestlers need to start doing this. How can somebody still feel betrayed or perplexed or confused when all you gotta do is whip out your DVR and watch the show you were on? It's like, well, I wonder if that person screwed me. Just turn on the TV. And also don't watch it like this. Those two things kind of tie together. But don't make any wrestler look dumb. Whether they're a good guy or a bad guy, they should have some level of intellect. Like I'm an absolute moron, and sometimes I feel smarter than them. Should not happen. Number 2, not finishing storylines. I mean, we don't even need to get into this one so much. You can go back to 1999, and I bet there's times before that too, where we're still asking what the hell happened, like at the King of the Ring pay-per-view that year. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin taking on the McMahons in a ladder match with a briefcase to see who was going to take over World Wrestling Federation, and as Austin went to get the briefcase, it moved upwards. But who moved it upwards? Well, I don't still have a damn clue. It was insinuated that it was the big boss man, but no one actually made it clear. And this was the same with GTV and was almost the same with the SmackDown hacker until Ali one day just went, oh yeah, it was me. Which is kind of one of the worst payoffs ever. It was so anticlimactic, even though it did kind of make sense. You wouldn't expect it from anything else. You wouldn't be watching a movie and it just ends at 1:45 and someone goes, I don't know what happened. You just figure it out for yourself. You would go to the usher and you would ask for your money back. So just because we're used to it in pro wrestling doesn't mean we should stand for it. Even if you do need to end it because it absolutely sucks, we'll just have somebody beat somebody else up. You don't have to have your hands tied. Wrestling's pretty flipping creative. Number 1, the 3-hour Raw. Now before you all go mad in the comments, I know this can't happen because USA Network and WWE make so much money in advertising from it. Why the hell would they go back to 2 hours? But I tell you, if Raw was only 120 minutes, it would be such a good television program. And dare I say it, a lot better than some of those Raws we got in the Attitude Era. Like, the main event was always good, but some of that mid-card, my word, it is madness. I just think it would fix a lot of WWE's problems, and they're a business. I'm sure they'd be able to fill the financial gap somewhere else, and wouldn't it be just far more palatable to when you sit down to watch it on Monday nights, knowing within 2 hours you're going to be said and done and you can go to bed. Or like me, get up an hour later because I watched it in the morning. It's just done, it's just old and it's tired, and I think given what else is out there, we have proven without a shadow of a doubt that 2-hour wrestling television shows are the perfect length. And while we are talking about the running lengths of all wrestling stuff, let's keep pay-per-views to 3.5 to 4 hours. When they go 5+, I kind of want to punch myself in the face. Know any other wrestling things that need to die? My word, there's a lot of them. Leave them in the comments below and I'll have a look and I'll chuckle away. Then like the video, share the video, please hit that subscribe button, it's free. Head over to whatculture.com, read yourself some articles, follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you for joining me as always, and do not get me wrong, I still love wrestling, even if they're going to do all of these dumb things. Sometimes I love it because of what they're doing. It's always good to get this stuff off your chest. Make sure you do it too. See you soon.